It's time now for County-Wide, a presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. You'll hear about the interesting issues and happenings that affect all our lives. Here's today's County-Wide.
Well, good day and welcome to the program. It is County-Wide. I'm Brad Miller, and we're very happy to welcome into the studio today some folks who kind of make a living out on the trails. Not really a living, it's volunteer work that these folks do with the Red Rock Trail Fund. And I'm happy to welcome into studio Dreama Aldredge and Dick Williams. Thank you for coming in.
Nice to be here.
Thank you for today. Having me. Big event coming. You folks are behind the scenes. Toast the Trails is coming up here on beginning October 12th, a multi-day event. Yes, it's a big fundraiser, but I want to talk to begin with. We'll circle back to that, but I want to talk to begin with about some of the things that we talked about, Dreama, when you started emailing me. When I thought I knew how it worked. I've been here 35 years. I thought I kind of knew how it worked. Well, the trails are great because the Forest Service takes care of that. And the two of you are smiling right now because that is not how it works. So talk to me a little bit about what it is that your group does and why, where your passion personally comes from maybe, but what all goes into keeping our trails maintained, safe for visitors, and welcoming to the public.
Certainly. Well, 10 years ago, a group of concerned citizens realized that the federal government was only covering about 8 to 10% of the monies necessary to maintain and enhance our trail system.
10%?
8 to 10%, yes.
I had no idea.
And with the uptick in visitors in our area, those citizens said, we have to put together a nonprofit to supplement the needed funds to maintain our trails. Yeah. And so that's how the Sedona Red Rock Trail Fund originated.
Okay, just like that. And there was a need, like so many things. When you found that out, clearly money is going to be a part of it, but there's going to be a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in there because your organization spearheads folks going out literally, physically, and doing some of this maintenance.
Actually, we are the money raising arm.
Okay.
Of the equation.
Okay.
If you look at who's helping the Forest Service, Brad, you've got the Sedona Red Rock Trail Fund getting money. Then you have the Friends of the Forest and the VVCC actually out there doing the work.
Okay.
And so what we do is we don't tell the Forest Service what to do. We go to them and say, Forest Service, what do you need done?
Sure.
And then so 10, 11 years ago, they had 2 seasonal trail crew members doing trail work, 2. And our construction season is really interesting out here. It's between October and April. It's the winter months because you actually need moisture to help work through this thing.
That makes sense.
And so as projects came on and Western Gateway was built and other things, as of last summer, we're now funding 14 seasonal crew members and 2 supervisors. And so as Dreama said, the overall budget's probably $500,000-$700,000 a year for these workers, and we're funding around 90% of it.
Wow.
Right.
And as I've heard so many times, we talk to an awful lot of nonprofit organizations on this show and at the stations here. Mm-hmm. Almost without exception, I find that there's kind of a wheel of partnership, as you've just described. Mm-hmm. And it starts kind of with the Forest Service. They're the matrons, if you will. Mm-hmm. But your piece of it, and then the Friends of the Forest, among other organizations, without any one of those cogs in that wheel, the wheel's just kind of not going to turn. Dreama, getting funding together, that's just something that never ends. Look at me telling you that. but right? And then the event coming up soon is going to be a major kind of part of that.
Yes. We have a 12-member volunteer board on the Trail Fund, and 4 of us basically work with businesses in the community to raise money because the trails are so important to our community businesses. Yeah. So 4 of us work with those businesses. 4 of us write grants, and 4 of us do philanthropic work.
Okay.
And so those are the arms of our board, and each one plays an important part in our fundraising. And we all are brought onto the board due to our passion in the trails. For instance, I am the only equestrian on the board.
Okay.
And so I haul my horse in to use the Red Rock trails, and other board members are avid mountain bikers and hikers.
Right.
So we all put our passion to work for the Trail Fund.
Okay, yeah. So you're going to benefit, but way bigger than that is it's going to be the public. It's going to be visitors who have no personal stake in this area that are going to benefit the most.
I'm glad you brought that up, Brad. We've seen trail usage go from before COVID, probably in the 1.5 to 2 million range, to we think it could have been as high as 3.5 to 4 million during COVID and right after. And so there are over 400 miles of trail that the Red Rock Ranger District has that we help look after. And so it's a never-ending battle because social media has totally changed the way people use their trails
and everything else in the world.
Everything else, exactly. And it's funny because we have done some census work, and the normal trail may only be used for the first 1/3 or 1/2 because people go in, get that Instagram picture,
right,
post it, and then they're back out to the car heading to the next one.
Okay,
you know?
Sure, makes sense.
And you also have people, so it gets crowded. People make new trails, and your trail system starts to look like the capillaries in your arm.
Right.
You know, it's this mess. And so, part of the challenge is to keep it safe for the visitors, keep the signage current for safety things, and stay on the trail and don't bust the crust and things like that. But at the end of the day, we are trying to help the Forest Service work their magic and keep it a good visitor experience for everybody. So
now, as you go together and throughout the fundraising process, the never-ending fundraising process, and the event coming up that we're going to talk a lot more about in a minute, do you kind of establish, well, these are going to be funds available in the next, fiscal year, and then go to the Forest Service and say, we have this available, and then they'll assign or develop projects, or does it go the other way, or how do you get that coordinated?
It sort of goes both ways, to be honest with you. It starts with, what are you guys going to be doing in the Forest Service? How much work do you want to do? What are your special projects and what have you? And so we take that, and if it's a project that we can make a focus, then we can go and get specific grants for that, or we can ask specific donors, do you want to fund something like this? Right. And then that money gets back. On the other side of the equation, then you have just general donations, and that's probably about 45% of our pot.
Okay.
And those we use to fund the seasonal crew that then go out, and they may not have specific projects, but they have fixing up washes, armoring it for the bicycles, making it safe for the equestrians, things like that. So it's not a one size fits all, but it's mostly us asking them, what are you going to do, and them saying this. And we've also worked with them. 2 years ago, we actually hired some consultants for them that walked 200 of the 400 miles, and we have a foot-by-foot survey of what all the trails need that the Forest Service can now use in the future. That was a $45,000 project funded by some donors.
Wow.
But it gives the Forest Service a chance to do some long-term planning, like 2 or 3 years, because that helps us then write grants. Some of our grants you don't get until a year or something like that. Sure. And so it's sort of a big jigsaw puzzle putting all this.
That's exactly
together.
And over time, you don't build trails. Forest Service doesn't. Friends of the Forest, they don't. It's about maintenance. I'm curious if you haven't just kind of floating in your head impacts weather or usage, which is kind of the greater impact. Is there even a way to define?
Well, it's funny.
I'm just curious more than anything.
It's funny. Normally it's usage, but if you recall, what was it? Two winters ago, we had all the snow and all the rain and ice, and the water is good. You want it to flow though, because if it's standing, that causes all kinds of problems.
You bet.
Trails. So that's a great question, but I'd say usage is the big factor.
Yeah.
Weather is the big factor when we are trying to do maintenance.
Sure. Wintertime.
recent project on Cathedral. It was a $500,000 project over a couple of years.
Wow.
It was supposed to be finished the first year, but we had ice and snow. And so the way that the crews did, they would haul all their gear up. They worked a 4-day week. They would haul their gear up the first day, and then they would go up and work. And these were young people, Brad, that probably weighed 120, 130 pounds. And some of these young women were carrying 5-gallon things of gasoline up, and generators and rock saws.
The resilience and determination of young people.
It is unbelievable, but it also really frustrated them when it was icy and muddy, and they couldn't get up, and because they wanted to work, they wanted to get some.
They wanted to do it.
Yeah. Plus,
wow.
Plus, one other really interesting factoid, and I didn't know this until I got involved with this, but there are national Forest Service trail standards, and there are National Park Service trail standards. Think of it as Toyota, a very good vehicle, and a Lexus.
Okay.
It's going to last a lot longer.
Okay.
And so the Forest Service actually made the decision on Cathedral to rebuild it to National Park Service standards, which is a much heavier construction. And so if you or your listeners go up there, you'll see a big difference in what the structures look like in the rock structures and things like that.
Fascinating.
So,
all right.
Stairs.
Okay, I've got more questions. We need to take a break. I want to get to kind of the heart of what we're going to talk about today, and that is the Toast the Trails event. So let's take a short break with our guest, Reba Aldredge. Dick Williams, toastthetrails.com is a terrific website. You might follow along even as we're chatting about it, and we'll talk more about that when we come back to Countywide right after this.
Life changes, then it changes again. Predicting the unexpected in life is impossible. That's why it's called unexpected. So when it comes to financial goals, our philosophy is don't predict, prepare. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Matthias Sandoval. A job loss, change in health, or a loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Call our office to schedule a face-to-face appointment.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Verde Solaire, your hometown heating, air conditioning, and plumbing company in the Verde Valley. And your trusted North Central Arizona Goodman dealer. Goodman is a name you can trust with the revolutionary Comfort Bridge technology factory installed into select Goodman gas furnaces and air handlers to ensure the entire system operates at peak energy efficient performance. Verde Solaire offers free in-home estimates, locally owned and operated since 1983. Visit them at verdesolaire.com. Better, cleaner, faster.
Thank you so very much for your generosity and kindness in helping others. I hope that you take advantage of the many Arizona state tax credits available when giving to qualified charities and schools. If you haven't taken advantage, I hope you'll ask your favorite charity if they qualify. You can go to Arizona Department of Revenue website, search for tax credits, and look at the list of qualifying charities. Then look at your latest Arizona income tax return and see how an Arizona tax credit can benefit many. This is Lewis saying thanks again.
Let's talk. That's the message from Jonna Randall Murdoch, your local Farm Bureau agent, providing a personal touch when making insurance and financial decisions. Jonna will simplify your insurance needs while offering competitive pricing. Let's talk auto, home, life, and farm. Call Jonna at Farm Bureau today at 928-649-8686. Your Cottonwood Farm Bureau property and casualty insurance company. At Farm Bureau, they insure more than just farms.
We welcome you back to the program. It is Countywide, and our guests are so fascinating. I learned something on every one of these shows, and am doing so again today. Dick Williams, Reba Aldredge are here, and with the Red Rock Trail Fund, and so much goes into that every day, and all we think about is, well, this trail looks nice, and we go out and we do it. These are the folks among many that help make that so. A big fundraising event is coming up October 12th through the 19th, multi-day event, Toast the Trails. Dreama, talk to me about this event.
Yes, this is our first annual Toast the Trails event. And up until this time, the Trail Fund had primarily relied on local philanthropists and businesses in our fundraising efforts. But as we were talking, almost 3.5 million people use the Red Rock Trails every year, and we wanted to bring them in and help raise their awareness on where our money comes from and invite them to join our efforts and give the trails some love through their checkbook. And so we have 26 participating venues throughout the Verde Valley and Sedona. We have everything from L'Auberge, a resort property, to Copper Jackalope up in Old Town Cottonwood, Vino Rosa in Old Town Cottonwood, Smelter Brewery. The Verde Valley Wine Consortium hopped on board with us, and we have several wine tasting rooms and vineyards that are also participating.
That's terrific. This spells out, Dick, something you and I chatted about briefly before we opened the microphones for the show, and that is how, in a sense, depending on how far back you want to go, but even pre-COVID, I think to a certain degree, you had kind of had Sedona's over this way, and Cottonwood's over this way, and Jerome is here. Many visitors are going to end up in each of those different spaces at different times during their visit here, depending on kind of the length of their stay. And as Dreama describes some of the folks that are involved in this, it seems like here again, it's kind of pulling this family a little bit tighter. It seems like most of the smart business people in our community, especially in the hospitality and service industries, realize they've got a stake in every square foot of northern Arizona.
Right.
Does that?
No, that makes sense. It's what has truly surprised us, one, is that Dreama got 26 people to sign up.
That's great.
We think this is fabulous. Yeah. It's a lot of hard work, but the other thing is we were very surprised how many were from Cottonwood and Cornville. Mm-hmm. And any place you travel, people ask you where you're from, and you say Sedona. The first thing they say is Red Rocks. Oh, they're beautiful.
Right.
And so the Red Rocks are, to me, the big draw here.
You bet.
But you're starting to see that a lot of people can't hike a lot and can't go into 3, 5, 7 miles, even though there are wonderful trails. And so what else is there to do? There's the vineyards. There's riding the railroad. There's going to Jerome. There's going to Home Depot if you want to go to Home Depot here in Cottonwood. But I mean, it's that type of thing. And so 89A may be 12, 14 miles, but we're all a part of this area now.
As we've done this show today, you really get that strong impression.
And you see some of the hiking clubs like the Westerners in Sedona and the Skyliners here in Cottonwood. They intermingle too. You're starting to find people go up Mingus Mountain, or the people go out to Sycamore or up on North Wilson or what have you. So it's been exciting. So and this Toast the Trails has been a dream of several of us for 4 or 5 years, and it wasn't until Dreama got here and really put the ball across the line, or the trail, shoveling the dirt for us that this. And so we're just excited to see how this happens.
Yeah. Well, that growth in the 10 years you described clearly, there's a lot of people have kind of jumped on board. When we talk about different kinds of fundraising mechanisms, finding grants, I mean, there are people who specialize in grant writing and seeking those kinds of things out. Do you have that background, or?
I don't.
But you know the right people.
Yes. Well, and we have 3 or 4 people on our board, wouldn't you say, Dick, that really know how to write grants.
So I had never written a grant in my life when I came on the board.
It's kind of an art and a
they
science.
made me grant committee chairman.
Okay.
So I had to learn from some of the past folks. But the grants are typically they like to see a specific project. You know, I want to see my money go to X or Y. And so our shortest grants that we've written have been 2 paragraphs. And during COVID, I tried to get one from the ARPA money and what have you. It was a 72-page grant with 400 pages of supporting documentation. We did not get that one because of a technicality, but it's really interesting. We also use a new service, basically web-based, and it scours all the grants out there. And so we put in, we need a grant for our trail work. And it comes back with the organizations that then we can approach and write grants for. So, but the grants come from it's really quite fascinating. The state of Arizona is very generous. It's a lot of our gas tax money that's actually funneled back through.
Nice to see that return.
Yes, sir, it is. We have family foundations. We have the Athletic Brewing Company, which is a beer company, has done some. it's just a total mix of different things that you
and
go after.
Biggest of all, from my chair, is the stick-to-itiveness of the two of you and your organization and going after those things, because you spend 700 pages on something and then it doesn't fly. That could cause a guy to say, oh, and not want to get up and do it again, but you get up, dust off that red dirt, and go back at it. So we appreciate that on behalf of the entire community. We need to take another short break. When we'll come back, we'll have some real brief remarks. We'll have Dreama again recap the Toast the Trails event coming very soon to our community. It's countywide. We'll be back right after this.
Life changes, then it changes again. Predicting the unexpected in life is impossible. That's why it's called unexpected. So when it comes to financial goals, our philosophy is don't predict, prepare. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Matthias Sandoval. A job loss, change in health, or a loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Call our office to schedule a face-to-face appointment.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Verde Solaire, your hometown heating, air conditioning, and plumbing company in the Verde Valley, and your trusted North Central Arizona Goodman dealer. Goodman is a name you can trust with the revolutionary Comfort Bridge technology, factory installed into select Goodman gas furnaces and air handlers to ensure the entire system operates at peak energy efficient performance. Verde Solaire offers free in-home estimates, locally owned and operated since 1983. Visit them at verdesolaire.com. Better, cleaner, faster.
Thank you so very much for your generosity and kindness in helping others. I hope that you take advantage of the many Arizona state tax credits available when giving to qualified charities and schools. If you haven't taken advantage, I hope you'll ask your favorite charity if they qualify. You can go to Arizona Department of Revenue website, search for tax credits, and look at the list of qualifying charities. Then look at your latest Arizona income tax return and see how an Arizona tax credit can benefit many. This is Lewis saying thanks again.
Let's talk. That's the message from Jonna Randall Murdoch, your local Farm Bureau agent, providing a personal touch when making insurance and financial decisions. Jonna will simplify your insurance needs while offering competitive pricing. Let's talk auto, home, life, and farm. Call Jonna at Farm Bureau today at 928-649-8686. Your Cottonwood Farm Bureau property and casualty insurance company. At Farm Bureau, they insure more than just farms.
And we come back to the program to kind of wrap up here. Dreama Aldredge, Dick Williams, thank you for sharing your time to come over and talk about Toast the Trails, October 12th through 19th, and Dreama Give Me. You mentioned something during our short break that some folks have specific items.
Exactly.
That's
so
cool.
We have 26 venues participating, and each venue has chosen a specific item on their menu, and they're going to donate a percentage of that item to the trails during that week.
That's a neat thing.
So you go into the venue, you say, what's your Toast the Trails special this week? You purchase it, and no part of the money from that will go to our trail fund. And we have, every venue has been unique and original in their offerings. We have a trail donut at Sedonuts. So you go in, buy a donut, and $1 goes to the trails. Main Stage is donating 10% of their proceeds on their Wednesday night bingo, as well as $1 for every draft beer sold during Toast the Trails week.
That's great.
And then many of our vineyards are doing $1 per flight sold.
That's terrific. I would strongly encourage our listeners to take a look at toastthetrails.com, a website. You'll find the venues that Dreama has been talking about throughout our program and many, many more. So many people have gotten on board with this. So many want to be are part of the community and want to be part of keeping our trails healthy and ready for the next 35,000 increase or whatever you mentioned, 3.5 million increase that Dick mentioned earlier in the show. ToastTheTrails.com, comprehensive website, easy to navigate, and all of the information, plus more that we talked about on the program here today. Also, RedRockTrailFund.org, this group's master organization. Dreama Aldredge, Dick Williams, our guests. I'm Brad Miller. It's Countywide, and we'll see you next time.
This has been Countywide. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday at this time. If you have a topic or guest idea that you'd like to suggest, email us, news@myradioplace.com.